Mrs. Shima's fifth-grade classroom was filled with eager faces. Today, they were going to learn about volume. Mrs. Shima loved teaching math, and she was known for making her lessons interesting and engaging. To explain the concept of volume, she brought out a large, colorful box of building blocks. She had used these blocks in her lessons before, and the students were excited to see them again. Today, we're going to explore volume in a fun way, Mrs. Shima began, her eyes sparkling. Volume is the amount of space inside a three-dimensional object. It's like how much water a container can hold. To calculate volume, you need to know the length, width, and height of the object and then multiply them together. She wrote the formula on the board. Volume equals length x with x height. The students nodded, some jotting down notes. Mrs. Shima then divided the class into small groups and handed each group a set of identical building blocks. The challenge was simple but intriguing. Build a structure using all the blocks and then calculate its volume. The only rule was that the blocks had to fit together perfectly with no gaps or overlaps. Sarah, one of the students, took the lead in her group. Let's start by counting the blocks, she said. They had 24 blocks each. Carefully, they began to assemble a rectangular prism. After a few minutes, their structure was complete. It was a 3 by 2 by 4 prism. Sarah quickly did the math. 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24. Our volume is 24 cubic units, just like the number of blocks. Meanwhile, other groups had built different shapes but all arrived at the same answer. Mrs. Shima moved around the room, checking each group's work. She was pleased to see the enthusiasm and teamwork. Excellent work, everyone, she announced. You all have grasped the concept of volume brilliantly. Remember, volume is all about how much space is inside an object, and your calculations show that perfectly. The lesson ended with a round of applause, and Mrs. Shima couldn't help but smile. She knew that the students had not only learned about volume but had also experienced the joy of teamwork and problem-solving. And in the process, they had discovered that math could be fun and exciting. As the students headed out for recess, they chatted excitedly about their projects, already looking forward to the next math adventure with Mrs. Shima.